Got any plans for off season?
No World Cup. Not doing the World Cup. Obviously, it was a bit of a hard decision not to put myself in for selection for the World Cup. Um, but I thought it was probably one that I had to make for myself and for my family as well. So we're gonna make the most of being back home in Cornwall. We'll probably spend the next few weeks in there. We've got a testimonial game or tournament at Sandy Park on the 3rd of June, which Red Bull are going to take over for us, which will be pretty cool. So I've got a few events and stuff that I need to do and different things like that before I head over. Yeah.
Take us through the mindset for that, for making that decision, because it's a massive call, right?
Yeah. Obviously Eddie leaving, and then Sporters coming in, and obviously like, I've been in. I was in a contact at the start with Sporters, and obviously he let me know that I wasn't going to be involved in the Six Nations, which was completely fair enough. New coach, new ideas. So I was happy with that. I was like, look, it's pretty cool. It's my last year at the club anyway, so I really get to focus on trying to do the best I can do for the club and trying to get us into these big games at the end of the season. So you come to that stage then where it's a bit like, right, probably the ship sailed for me now. In terms of the England stuff, there's the boys done very well during the Six Nations that were playing on the wing and stuff, and there does come a stage where you need to start thinking about your family and thinking about your future and stuff like that. So I had these opportunities then to speak to other clubs and discuss about my future. And obviously, you have a when you do sign abroad or you sign anywhere, you have an option to sign pre-World Cup or post-World Cup. Um, and for me, I made that decision then that it's probably best for my family and myself to sign the contract pre-World Cup. I'm sure it'd be a bit different if I was talking to Steve all the time and I was understanding. Since then I have spoke to Steve and obviously I had to let him know about my decision because I think I was in plans for the World Cup. Especially for maybe the first little bit of the first get together as the big squad. Um, but like I said, for me, I kind of made a decision not to do that and to make sure that my family gets settled in France and make sure that I get settled in France so I get to go to my new club and be the best I can and hopefully win some more trophies.
The change from Eddie to Steve and then your communication with Steve, is that the main driver of you going across to France?
No, I wouldn't say it was the main drive. I think maybe post World Cup it would have been I probably wouldn't have been in England anyway, but I definitely had the option to stay and push for the World Cup and be involved in the World Cup still. Um, but I think, yeah, probably my main issue was the fact that I didn't have a lot of talk. And don't get me wrong, like I don't expect to be speaking to Steve every day, and him letting me know what's going on because at the end of the day, he's a new coach of England. He's extremely busy, and the Six Nations is stressful enough. So that wasn't. It's not his fault. It's not anyone's fault really. It's just more of the one where I had to look at that and think, I'm probably not going to be involved in the squad as much as what I want to be. Um, that's probably my main decision then to start thinking about other things and what is best for my family at that stage.
There are loads of injuries though. You've signed for this pre-World Cup contract now, so regardless, you're just going to rehab and then you start a new season in France.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a hard decision. Obviously, I was thinking about it for weeks and weeks, and as much as I'd love to do another World Cup, this would be my third World Cup, and for me, my World Cups have not been plain sailing. Obviously, everyone knows what happened with the England World Cup, the stuff on the field, the stuff off the field, um, and then obviously not even getting out of our group. So that was frustrating being a young kid and only playing the last game against Uruguay. But then obviously the Japan World Cup, which was again even more frustrating for me. The fact that I was very much in Eddie's vision, but we played that Saracens game in the final, and I injured my ankle and my knee. So I had to have an operation on my ankle, and it was just a rush then to get back. I was trying to rehab a long term injury in a short period of time, thinking that I could play in the World Cup, and obviously Eddie being there, he backed me, he brought me along the whole time, and I think I finally got fit for the last pool game against Argentina. And then I scored that try, but I tore my hammy. So I was like, "This is great. Like this couldn't have gone any worse for me now." So obviously that was frustrating in itself, not to actually be able to perform and actually have a World Cup that I wanted to do. But like I said, as much as I'd like to have done this one and given this a good crack, you sometimes you've got to read between the lines and understand that you're probably not in the coach's favour. Um, so don't get me wrong, I would love to have fought for my position. I would love to have got myself back, into playing. But like I said, family comes first for me, so I had to make sure that they're looked after first.
Jack, speaking of injuries, this must be one of your most. You've played a lot of games this season, haven't you?
A lot of games. Like
Mate, it's worked. The plan worked, pal. Remember we spoke about it?
I know. The last 2 years, mate.
Yeah, mate.
Obviously, against France last year, Six Nations, I jumped up for the high ball, landed on my wrist, and snapped my wrist. But you can't help that.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
And all this season, I've been well, it's finished now. Yeah, I've been I've played every single game.
Yeah, but you're back drinking. That's why.
I knew you were going to ask that. I knew you were going to say.
I knew that was coming up.
Because you said you'd given up drinking, and now you're back drinking.
No, I'm only drinking off season, then, and I like a bit like you now. I think I've drunk every single day, and my missus thinks I'm an alcoholic. But I'm telling you, the plan, mate. The plan during the season.
Man, I'm so stoked for you. That's class.
And it honestly is I know it was blown up a lot, like, oh, Jack's not drinking, and it's the rugby culture and stuff like that. But mate, it's one of the best decisions I've ever made, and I think, like, obviously I've got to see how the future goes and stuff like that. But I'm definitely going to try and stick to that. I'm not too sure what the culture's like.
That won't last 2 minutes in La Rochelle, mate.
Yeah, but they drink in a more civil, kind of tempered way.
I think it'll be different, wouldn't it?